Welcome, Covenant Church family and friends, to our first installment of Catching Up with Covenant. Our plans are to interview members of Covenant, and we'll be posting these interviews Tuesdays and Thursdays on our website. Our first interview is with Marcus Dorsey. Marcus was raised at Covenant. He was an active member and participated in children and youth ministries growing up. He continues to be active in the life and the work of the church. He has served on our camp staff, and he has served previously as our pastoral intern, and he will be serving again this summer as our pastoral intern. Marcus, welcome, and thank you for participating and being our first interview.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a joy.
Tell us a little bit about what is going on. How are you spending your days?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So right now, we just started back online classes a couple weeks ago. So I've been a little bit consumed with that. But in my free time, I do like to watch Netflix. I do like to try to learn some new chords on my guitar and like to catch up on some reading and stuff and spend some time with my grandparents. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So what next flip? How do you say it?
Netflix. Oh my gosh. You had to make me think about it.
I don't know. Yeah. And we watch it and I can't even say it right now. So yeah. So tell, what is something on Netflix that you're watching that you would recommend or that you're able to recommend?
Yeah, I think a really good show. It's about a superhero, actually. Be careful, you might binge watch it, like I've been doing. But it's called Black Lightning, and I really have been enjoying that a lot. And it's been a good show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you say you've been reading a lot?
Trying to, yeah.
Okay. What is something you've been reading?
I actually just finished a book this morning by N.T. Wright called Surprised by Hope. And it's about rethinking heaven, rethinking the mission of the church, and just kind of tying into eschatology and stuff. So it's good and a little challenging to read because he has a big brain. I'll just say he has a big brain. He just pulls a lot of things out of nowhere, and I'm just like, oh wow. So that's been good. I've also been going through the Westminster Confession of Faith in larger and shorter catechism, so that's been good too. So,
do you have any resources that you're using for that study, for that read?
I do, but I'm not using them.
Okay.
I just want to go straight through it again because it's been a while.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's been really good though.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good. So you're a junior at Covenant College.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about what it's like being a junior at Covenant College, and also tell us a little bit about your job at Covenant as a student ministry coordinator.
Yep. So when I came to Covenant, I had like several friends who were juniors, and they talked about how daunting it was, how terrible it was. I was just like, you're so exaggerating. Just shut up. But once I got into my junior year, I was just like, oh wow, I actually feel this weight. And I think it's not just because of the challenging curriculum, but it's also that I've been here 3 years now and I've gotten really comfortable. So there's like a little bit of some early senioritis like sliding in there.
Okay.
And so I'm a little bit, I would say my junior year has just been filled with somewhat discontentment. And it's been really weird. And it's just like really challenging to be faithful to like the mundane, to the ordinary. And I think that's been probably one of the hardest things about junior years, just because, you know, you've seen everything, you've done everything, and you're just like kind of ready to get out and go. But, you know, God has just been showing me through my junior years that, you know, you got to be faithful. Like even when classes, you already know the routine, you already know what the syllabus is going to look like, you already know what to expect from the professor, you still have to be faithful, and you still have to be open and to learning more, and to also know that I don't know it all. Like there's been some times in classes where I'm like, I am so dumb, but and it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess you're having to learn patience, right?
Yes.
There's a time and a season for everything, and the time and season for you to graduate is not yet.
Yeah. Even though I wanted to be.
Right. But it will be, Lord willing. May 2021 is graduation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So what will Marcus Dorsey be doing, again, Lord willing, and being guided by the, by the Lord Jesus? We know all of that, and what is your plans post-graduation?
Yep. So my plans post graduation is to go to RTS. That's where I'm leaning more towards now as far as seminaries. But seminary is an option, and also just entering pastoral ministry. And I forgot to answer this part of your question earlier. Is just that what is about my like job as a student
Oh
ministry
yeah, that's
coordinator at
right.
Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But
Yeah.
and that job in and of itself, it has kind of opened my eyes to being able to test the gifts, being able to work with people, and to do kind of the brunt work of ministry. And it's been a joy. And our job on campus, it's 11 of us that serve, and we are being discipled by our chaplain, Grant Lowe, and assistant to the chapel department, Stephanie Formenti. And in turn, we're discipling the campus. And ways that we've done that is through having small groups on Philippians. So for several weeks before our semester ended, I was able to lead a Bible study in Philippians with some other people. And I think one of the and we've just been doing some really great things. And we were able to even go Christmas caroling to some homes of elderly people around the mountain. And that was a joy. And I think one quick funny story is that we went to this one house to carol, and we knocked on the door, and then there's this little boy that opened his head and is like, "Oh, hey." And then the door opened all the way, and the little kid is naked. And and the dad comes in and he's like, "Oh, hey." And then he's like, "I'm sorry, our son is fully naked." And then the mom comes down, and then she's like, "Yeah, we just had a bath." And it was just funny. And they let us sing Christmas carols to them, and it was a joy, and they were blessed. And other groups were able to pray for them as well. So it was just an amazing time. But all that to say is just that my junior year has just been really diving more into kind of the sense of calling, especially with pastoral ministry and stuff. And I was able to do this a couple summers ago with the internship with Covenant. But I just love being in spaces where I'm able to test the gifts more and able to work with people, even in times with like people are crying with me. And that's just like a hard thing to deal with, but it is also joyful. But so pastoral ministry is definitely on my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, and I say this, and I say this to Covenant folks often. I know I've shared this with you before. Pastoral ministry is that you get to do real life with people, right? And sometimes it's hard, like if you're having to go to the hospital for a hospital visit, or walking a family through a funeral, through the death of a loved one, or even that season of dying, or as the hospice care folks call it, transitioning from this life to the next. It's hard, it's humbling, but it's a joy. And I know it's kind of weird to say that if you're not a pastor, if you don't feel like you're called to the pastor, it's kind of weird. Like, how can that be a joy? And I think the joy is serving, right? Is you're serving, you're the hands and feet of Jesus, and you're called to that. There's we talk about this often. There's the inward call and the outward call to ministry. The inward call is what you feel the Lord is prompting you to do. And it seems like you've had that prompting for a while now. I mean, that even going back to when you were in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. And then it's been awesome to see, in our tradition, it would be the session that would affirm your calling, but they also give you opportunities to lead and to take part in ministries. And you've come to a few of our session meetings now, and you've gotten to a couple of years ago preach in our evening worship. And I know you've preached over at Christian City when we were doing that service over there as well. And it seems like other folks outside of yourself and even outside of your family confirms that outward call of yours, that the Lord is indeed leading you into pastoral ministry. What kind of things are you looking forward to? What kind of ministries are you looking forward to in pastoral ministry?
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just open. And that's how I would describe it to people. I think early on when I came to you as a 16-year-old and was just like, hey, I really like what you do. And I think God is calling me to do that. And I remember having these set in stone plans. But the more that I've been able to do ministry, like working as a camp counselor, working as a pastoral intern, working in the job that I have now as a student ministry coordinator, our plans fall apart. And I think the way that our world is now, it shows us that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of open to what the Lord wants. And I don't know what that looks like exactly. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to, plan accordingly and just be a fool about it. But at the same time is that I just have to make my plans and hold them out before God. And I think some things I would like to see in ministry is just that I would be stretched for God's glory, that I would be challenged, and that I would grow, and that I would just learn how to love people better and just walk alongside them. And there's always room for growth. And I think a lot of people, like, one misconception is that a lot of people can just see me and it's like, wow, that guy, he's arrived. Like he knows what he wants. He knows like everything that's going on, and it's a big lie. And I think that working more in ministry has revealed my sin, my pride, and just how much I need the gospel. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is so good and so true and well put. It's hard sometimes as you stand before a congregation and you say, you need to pray, you need to trust in the sovereign hand of the Lord. And the whole time you're thinking, but I don't pray. Like, I don't trust. I try to work and then I pray, right? Even though you preach opposite of that, you say, no, pray and then work, right? Yeah, definitely. That's so well put. You might have said this, and I'm sorry if I missed it. Did you say where you're wanting to go to seminary?
Yes, I did. I'm thinking RTS, specifically RTS Atlanta.
Right. Yeah, the Atlanta campus. And so the hope would be that you would be in seminary there, and you would still be at Covenant, worshiping and working with Covenant. Yeah, that's awesome.
I do feel a call at Covenant, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, before we end, earlier you said you were leading a Bible study in Philippians at Covenant College. What's been your favorite, either your favorite part of Philippians or the most challenging part of Philippians? You can decide, or the part you don't like at all about Philippians. So those are your three options. Your favorite part, what you don't like, or you're challenged.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, so to give you some background, we studied as a group together, Philippians, into little pairs, whatever, all of our fall semester. So we were just in it a lot, and we would just read it like constantly. And I think an inescapable theme in the book is that we've all talked about is joy, but actually seeing what joy looks like for Paul, and for him to be in prison, and for him to say that although it is far better to depart and be with Christ, it is more necessary to remain on your account. And I love that word necessary in Philippians, and just seeing how Paul, he gives up a lot of himself. Even he talks about one point pouring out himself as a drink offering, because it's necessary for the growth of the church, and how impactful that is upon us as Christians. And also another thing too, that I love in Philippians is just the idea of us being citizens of heaven, and our citizenship is in heaven. I think that's in chapter 4 Philippians. But but anyways, like, being citizens of heaven is that it's just not our faith remains to ourselves, but our faith is supposed to be poured out upon others, and that we're called to live in light of heaven. And when we think about the new heavens and the new earth, we think about renewal. We think about how Christ is going to come back, as you say, to redeem, to reclaim, to make all things new, and to see that the future has come, in a sense, to us in the present, and it's an already but a not yet. And that, we as Christians are called to live faithfully and in certain ways and outlets, and that's going to look differently for a lot of Christians, for a lot of churches in general. And I'm not saying that we should be out, marching the streets, holding up picket signs and stuff, and saying the kingdom of God is coming. But what I'm saying is that being citizens of heaven makes an impact on the way that we live, and on the way that we communicate, and the way that we just carry ourselves, and just knowing that this world is temporal, and that we're supposed to be people living lives almost being, as NT Wright says, signposts that the kingdom of heaven is coming. And yeah.
Yeah,
So those have been
awesome.
some cool things I've learned from Philippians.
Yeah, that is awesome. And we're going to end on that because that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being with us. And thank you for being our guinea pig, the first one. So we'll see how this goes. But thank you, Marcus. And definitely looking forward to, again, seeing you in real life person.
Yes. Yes, I miss worship. So, yeah.
Well, have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, you too. Bye.
See ya.